Hello, this is Nikki in Niagara, coming to you from Niagara Falls, Canada. I am going to be working on my lessons, or as they call them, experiments, in the Watercolor Workshop book. I've already started them. Doing a couple of lessons a day. We're going to be doing lesson 4 and 5, maybe 6. So the lessons right now are, let's see, I'll show you where I've started. This is my Hobonichi. This is what I'm working in. So I started on the 23rd. Today is the 28th, so yeah, we're going to do 3 lessons today. So the first lessons start off with swatching your paints, and it talks about pigments and how different pigments react differently. So what we're supposed to do is swatch our paints and read the little bit about the color, and then pay attention to what the pigment is doing on the paper. Now, it doesn't so much matter as to what different brands are doing. We're supposed to be paying attention to just what the different pigments do. So I don't have all my watercolors spread out here, but I have most of my palettes spread out here. I've got this sample sheet of Daniel Smith's. I've got my 2 Jane Davenports. I've got my own palette that I put together of the Vicky Bouton and some other, some Van Gogh tubes. I've got Winsor Newton Cotman, and I've got the new one that I got on Aliexpress. And I've made swatch cards for all of them. So anyways, we started off with green, and if I do color mixing, well, we didn't do any color mixing for green. So underneath of them I'm writing what they are. And these are to be used further on in the book. We'll be able to look back at our swatches. So first we did green, then we did yellow, and then we did orange. Orange involved color mixing. It said most palettes don't come with an orange, and that was certainly true for me. So I had to do some color mixing, and the best color mixing that worked for me was the Winsor Newton Cotmans. The Jane Davenport paints I found terrible to mix compared to it. So our first color today is red. And what we're told about what we're told to watch for is that many reds can seem very similar in shade, but we're to pay attention to what the pigment is doing on our page. So I'm going to swatch the reds in these palettes. I am using 2 round brushes. One is a 2 and the other one is a 5. I think I've been I think I've been using the 5 mostly for these. So I need to spray my paints with water, at least my reds. Pretty much every palette will have a red, blue, and yellow, since those are the primary colors. So let's start with the Janes. They don't need much soaking. So first I'm going to use is Ladybug from the Brights package. Yeah, one of the other things we're supposed to pay attention to is not just how they act on the paper, but also what happens to them when they dry. Now, I think in this palette that I would call Frida a red as well. Maybe it's more of a magenta, but they use magentas in their example. Yeah, that's not exactly a red. But yeah, these two colors reacted differently. Okay, so now over in the glitzy palette, I have Ariel. That's the only red. Okay, so now I'm going to write down my colors. So let's go do my commons now. So the first one they have is, this is the only place I've ever heard of this red, Elise Crimson Hue. Yeah, see this, the Janes are very thick. They're not, they just act differently, and I think that's why I found them so much harder to blend. So now there's more of a true red here. We have cadmium red hue. Am I on screen here? Yeah. Perfect. Now compared to the other reds on this page, this one looks orange, but it's the truest red of them all. And those two colors reacted differently. This one was much more. Okay, so now I'm going to be using my cheaper paints. We're going to use Vicky Bouton. These ones need to soak. I'm going to use number 2. Very similar to Jane's Ariel. It's interesting that I put it there. I like these ones. I have to say, like, I love the colors of the Janes, but when I'm using the different brands together, I find the other one's more watery. I actually like that. That's nice. So this is Vicky Bouton, number 2. That's the only red I have in that palette. Number 4 is definitely a pink. So now we're going to go to the Aliexpress Pack. I didn't place these very nicely on the page because that's all I have for red. Yeah, so I just call this one Aliexpress. I don't have there's no numbers or colors for them. I suppose I could number them in order. I haven't been doing it. So those are our reds. Those are, oh, no, I've got my Daniel Smith, so let's use those. What have we got? Okay, is that red? Rhododendite Genuine. Definitely seems like a magenta. But they did put magentas on here. Okay, so we're going to go with Organic Vermillion from the Daniel Smith. And it seems that the Daniel Smiths are very expensive paints. That's why all I have is this little sample thing. It seems like the more expensive the paint, the more watery the consistency of the paint is, the way it reacts on the paper, which I guess is good. So then the other one we have is Permanent Alizarin Crimson. So I guess I just have Elise written down. I guess that was Alizarin. Alizarin Crimson Hue was my Winsor Newton. The Daniel Smith is called Permanent Alizarin Crimson. Oh yeah, just love the way that reacts. Nice. Okay, so that was lesson number 4. And we go on to lesson number 5. And do 5 and 6 there. So lesson 5 is purple. And for this one, we're supposed to pay attention to the paint feels. And it says that different pigments can have different, what they call paint feels. Some of them can be like gel-like, some can be like really watery, and I guess that's what I was just noticing with the reds. So let's start with Daniel Smith this time. So we'll go with the Rhododendite Genuine. Oh, but you know what I didn't do? I think I need more pigment. I need to water my purples. I need to spray my purples. So next one is called Cerulean Violet. Yeah, and the Daniel Smiths are very watery. I'm saying watery, I don't know what the correct word is. Those are my only purples there. Now in the brights, the Jane Brights, we have 2 purples. I'm going to go with the Mystic first. And these are definitely what they mentioned as gel-like. Mystic, and the other one is called Royal. very, very pigmented there. And that one is definitely thicker than the others. So, these are Jane. Next, Ariel, that's my red. So this is from the Glitzy pack. So I'm going to mix the Ariel with, there's a couple of blues here. I'm going to go with Sea Nymph. Yeah, see, these colors are so hard to mix. You need a ton of the lighter color. Okay, it looks like it's starting to turn a purplish shade. A little bit more like the blue. Okay, I don't know what kind of shade this is going to be. Ooh. Well, I like that. That's definitely kind of like a Concord. Or dusky purple. And mixing the two colors together made it much more waterier too. So that was Ariel plus Sea Nymph. Checking to see if my head is in the screen, but I have to look up. I have to move my head to look and see. Okay, yeah, so that worked well. All right, so let's go over to the Vicki Boutin. We have, I guess we really only have one purple. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be number 16. I think you can just see on there when I use this one how much more watery this is. These are much cheaper paints though than the Janes. So that was number 16 of the Vicki. Alright, so now we'll use the Aliexpress Purple. This is really, I would call it a blue, but we're going to go with it being kind of like a violet, I don't know. It's definitely more purple than the other blues, so we're going to call that purple. And finally, we're going to do some color mixing with the blue and the red. Okay, so okay, I'm going to use the true, well, I'm calling it a true red, the cadmium red hue, because it's definitely a more pure red than the Alakazam or whatever it's called, crimson. Okay, and I will go with, I've got two blues to choose from. I'm going to go with the ultramarine. The other one has a tint of green to it. Oh my god, that's ugly. Yeah, I have to add more red to it. Ugh, now I need more blue. Oh, this is a god-awful color. I don't even know if that's purple. All right. Yeah, that it's definitely a purple. I guess that's more Concord. But yeah, that is ugly. Not be using that one. Let's try mixing the other two colors together. The Alizarin hue. And the mid blue. I think this is going to work better. Just need to add way more red to it. I'm getting blue in my red. Yeah. Just let me clean that out. Oops. Well, it's turning purple. Okay, so let's put a little bit more of this red in here. This definitely looks like blue. Yeah. Well, yeah. That didn't really do much at all. So I'd have to do a lot more mixing to get a good purple out of that. So this is the Winsor Newton Cotman. Yes, I have. So those are all the purples that I can make. So that's definitely not, that's definitely not a purple. It looks like a blue-black. Okay, so I'm just going to dry these so that I can turn the page and we can do lesson number 6. Okay, so our next color is blue. Let me read the lesson in here. See, I'm not going to be sharing everything that's in the lessons because you need to buy the book. I can't give out all that information. So just take a second here while I read what it says about the blues. With the blues, we're going to pay attention to how the paint, whether it soaks into the paper or it sits onto the top. Now I'm using Tomoe River paper here, so the paint's pretty much all stay on the surface, but we'll see. Okay, so what color did I say we were doing? Oh yes, blue. Blue, blue, blue. Okay, so we've got lots of blues because of the Janes. So, oh, I better spray them. Oops. Okay, my water has turned purple. Okay, so we're going to start with, I might not even do the Daniel Smiths on here. Okay, so we're going to start with the Janes. So let's do Butterfly. So that one goes on smoothly. Now we're going to do 70s eyeshadow. This is one of my favorite colors in this palette. Okay, see now I can see this one sitting on the surface more. And it's also much more gel-like. And finally I'm going to do ink. And this is my absolute favorite color out of any of the Jane palettes that I have. This is kind of like Payne's Gray, except that it's more blue. It's a blue-black. Now that's sitting. That's definitely sitting on top way more than the others. Now in the Glitzy, what do we have? We have two blues. So the first one is called Nereid. I haven't used the Glitzies as much as the Brights, so I'm not quite as familiar with the colors. Okay, so that one was watery and is actually soaking into the paper quite well. This one's gel-like. This is Sea Nymph. I can see that one starting to soak in. Okay, so let's do my Cotmans now. So we're going to start with mid blue. It's sitting on the surface and it's quite gel-like. This one is drying quite a lot lighter. And ultramarine. This is more of a true blue than anything I've got down here so far. And it's definitely pooling. Okay, so now let's do these Van Goghs. These are nice paints. I like them. So I've got Prussian Blue. It actually, in the little lesson for the blues, it actually talked about Prussian Blue and said that it was harder to work with than some other pigments. Yeah, I guess that does sink in. And then the other one I have is Cerulean Blue, or Phthalo. I like this one. This one's kind of an aqua color. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. It's similar to the 70s eyeshadow, but much nicer. Well, that one kind of ended up a big square. That's very gel-like. It doesn't pool at all either. Okay, so these are Van Gogh. Blue. Oh yeah, we're going to have room to do them all here. I got 3 blues on the Aliexpress one. Whereas these paints are much more gel-like than the others because they're cheaper paints and chalkier. But that's really close to the Van Gogh one. I can definitely tell it's a cheaper paint though because of the way it reacts. Now, this is one where they look like they're exactly the same color. They do not look the same on the palette. This one looks darker. Oh yeah. Okay, so this one is just a tad darker than this one. Actually, I think it shows up on the camera more than it does in real life that this one's darker. Definitely gel-like. Haven't played around with these too much, but don't think they're gonna like plop very well. Okay, and the final one looks dark, but it's not that dark on my swatch. Probably will be here. That looks a lot like Jane's butterfly. This one's the hardest of the three to work with. And I think I've used them all. Oh, I didn't do the Daniel Smith, so let's see what we got on here for blue. Okay, well, we'll do, there's one blue, Indian Throne blue, and then there's a Payne's Gray, so we'll do that too. It actually calls it Payne's Blue-Gray on here. So the first one is Indian Throne blue. It's funny, but these have so much less pigment and they're so much waterier than the other paints. And then we want the Payne's Gray. So we'll see what it looks like compared to, oh wow. Okay, so those definitely sit on the surface and they pool. So those will make really nice wet on wet. Okay, so we got Dan Smith. Dark the ink turned on there, but by looking at it up close, I don't know if my messy head is on the screen when I'm doing that or not, but looking at it really close you can see the blue in it. I can't really tell how it's turning out on the page. So that's lesson 6, and today is the 28th, so I'm all up to date with these lessons. And the first 10 lessons are these swatching. So I'm not going to do every lesson on camera, but every now and then I'll come on and do a few lessons together, if they're short ones like this. There's lessons in the book that are going to end up taking longer and longer to do, so then I would only do one. But, yeah, I'm just going to dry that up, so I'll be back in a second. Let's take a look at what we did. We did the reds, and we did the purples. That's looking more purple to me now. That's the one when I mixed the two Winsor Newton cotton colors together. Alizarin and mid blue. And then my blues. I got a lot of blues. Let's go back to the greens. Yeah, a lot of greens too. I find that when you get a lot of colors, like if you get a large, well, I guess not even large, but anything, paints, pencil crayons, markers, whatever, you're always gonna get a bunch of blues and greens compared to the other colors. Okay, so I have to leave everything out here for my paints to dry, but that is the end of today's lesson. So thank you for joining me, and I hope that you enjoyed our little paint together, and I will put the link for this book, Watercolor Workshop. It's over there, so I'm not going to get it, in case you're interested. And I do have an affiliate link down below, so that means that I'll get a couple of cents to go towards my supply buying on Amazon if you use my link. So in the meantime, until next time, bye-bye!